Poems from Quarantine, a poetry anthology by Kathleen Elizabeth Sumpton. With over 300 pages of poetry brainstorms, these poems were originally just notes and scribblings on a paper before they were turned into the artwork that you see here in the book. Poems from Quarantine is my fourth poetry anthology, and all of my books were originally written by hand before being typed and turned into the manuscripts that the books are. Here you can see a copy of the manuscript and how many pages it was typed out before it became the book here. Now this book on the shelf, Poems from Quarantine, fits well with the setting of the pandemic. Written at the beginning of the pandemic during 2020, the author was able to turn her scribblings and stuff written in the notebooks into full poems, because being stuck at home and having the absence of regular life forced the author into writing and using her time wisely to think about what she could learn from this point in history. Poems from Quarantine is full of many lessons on life and what we can all learn from this beautiful space and time. It was even lucky enough to be reviewed by the London Free Press. For more info on what this book is about, you can check out the media kit located on my portfolio. Do you have butterflies in your stomach yet? Well, keep listening. Poems from Quarantine will help reveal to you your inner light. What is your true path? Each word means something important and special as written by the author, so pay attention. It's almost like a movie, where the still life of nothing happening during the pandemic is actually brought to life, where everything leaps right off the pages. Now, you might be asking yourself, what is life truly like in isolation, and how come a poem is able to convey that? The symbology behind poetry allows us to deal with the complicated emotions that the pandemic makes us deal with. We find out how to love ourselves again, how to love the world and others, and how to use that as a power of protection to move on. We learn that in finding ourselves again, we are able to build back a beautiful world full of abundance. Located in the back of the book is an index with the titles of each poem, so that if you so choose to, you can read them one by one and check them off after reading them based on whatever title strikes your fancy. The front cover of the book features a picture of a place taken by the author in a very special sort of symbolic image of isolation. This location is in cottage country of Muskoka, Ontario, Canada. A shared communal aspect of retreat, this familiar place the author goes to with her family. The single chair represents how we all have to go through our own period of isolation, necessarily and essentially so. But the giant tree in the foreground shows the strength of the communal, of the older, the elder, the outlasting, the part that's going to continue on that was here before. It comes out of the brush, it comes out of the rocks. We can see there is deep meaning here. Poems from Quarantine. The real question is, what is it actually all going to mean for you as a reader, as an individual? And what are you going to do during this time so that you can bring something back to the table for your local community, for the national community, and for the international community? Here we can see the original notebooks for the novel where the poetry brainstorms are. These contain magazine clippings, tickets to places, drawings, and all sorts of really precious items. The sentimental aspect of this book is key, and I think that's what makes Poems from Quarantine so special. That's what makes the pandemic so important to our lives, no matter how much we don't like what's going on. We have to keep moving forward, take the silver lining for what it is, and understand that even though there's a storm cloud, there's also going to be another sunny day again tomorrow. Speaking of the sun, on the back of the book, there's the moon. But it's not just any moon, it's actually a very special moon, the wolf blood moon eclipse from January, a few years back. Here on Earth, we're subject to the solar system in the way in which things work more than we realize or more than we choose to accept. No one wants to admit the pandemic was real, but here we are, and I'd like to do good by it.
How much of our memory can really recall a true picture? Poems from Quarantine, available now.